This episode is brought to you by the Bower Wilkins PX7S2 wireless headphones. Hear what your music really sounds like.
In our last video about true wireless IEMs, we took a look at the second gen Apple AirPods Pro. And I said I think they are the best all-rounder that I've heard and used to date in that product and price category. But at the end of the video, I said that there is a true wireless IEM, which I think sounds better than that Apple AirPods Pro version 2. And today, we're going to look at that better sounding true wireless IEM. Yep, today we're going to be talking about the Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless 3. Now, the shape of the earpiece is somewhere between the AirPods Pro and the Sony. So it means that for me, the Sennheiser are not quite as comfortable as the AirPods Pro, either version 1 or 2, because they're the same ear tip shape. But in the long run, for several hours, I think they just shade the Sony WF-1000XM4 on comfort factor. And I think that's an important consideration if you're going to be wearing these true wireless IEMs for several hours. Obviously for 20 minutes, not really going to make a difference, but for several hours it does. With the Sennheiser, if I'm playing the original master of Wuther's Mind Bomb, I've mentioned this album several times in recent videos because I've used it a lot, there's only just enough headroom, so volume basically, in the Sennheiser to play back that album to satisfactory levels. Because many of you will know that albums mastered in the 80s, whilst they are bigger in dynamic range, they're also a little bit quieter, right? So we have to turn the volume up, which we can do. And there's only just enough volume in the Sennheiser compared to the Apples and the Sonys. So that's a factor for you if you're worried about headroom of quieter recordings. The active noise cancellation on the Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless 3 isn't quite as good as what we get from the Apple AirPods Pro version 2. It can go toe-to-toe with the Apple in the low end, but the rest of the frequency spectrum, especially the mid-range, I think the Sennheiser let more sound through even when active noise cancellation is fully engaged, because there are different steps of noise cancellation inside the app. And it's the same story with transparency mode. It's good, but it's not great as it is with the Apples. Although I've got to say, I don't really worry too much about how good transparency mode is. For me personally, it doesn't really matter that much, as long as I can hear roughly what's going on. Because if I'm going to have a full-on conversation, I'm going to be polite and take my earphones out. However, the active noise cancellation inside the Sennheiser has a mode that specifically tackles wind noise. And it's really, really good, just as it is with the Sony. And the AirPods Pro don't have that. We still have to deal with wind noise when we're moving on a bike, or if we're just out and about on a windy day. Although we do have to step the noise cancellation down when we're going to that wind reduction setting. So it does let in a little bit more of sort of external noise in cancelling the wind. But I'm happiest most of all with that. But what's frustrating for me with the Sennheiser is that wind noise cancellation doesn't seem to work with phone calls. So when I phone people, they complain that it's really windy outside when I'm not hearing that wind through the earpiece. I don't know why they're hearing it. It's a bit of an odd one for me. I don't quite know why that is. If you know, let me know in the comments below. The accompanying Sennheiser app with the Momentum True Wireless 3 is good. It's easy to use, it's nice and cleanly laid out, although sometimes it does bug me, because I fire it up and I'm trying to get it to see the earphones, even though the earphones are already connected to Bluetooth, because my phone tells me that, even though I'm already listening to music, right? But the app's like, nah, these earphones are not connected. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? So it can take sometimes up to a minute for the app to see the earphones. Not always, but sometimes. On haptics, we get touch sensors on each earpiece. So the left one, if I click that, I can cycle through transparency mode and active noise cancellation. On the right one, it's play pause. And I think tap to pause is a little handier than being able to click an Apple AirPod. But volume control, you have to sort of hold down, I think for up, you have to hold down the right one for a couple of seconds, and for volume down, the left one for a couple of seconds. That for me is not quite as handy as the AirPod Pro 2's sort of swipe gesture on each ear stem. So far, if you ask me which of these two earphones, the Sennheiser or the Apple, would be my pick for functionality and haptics and general usability, I would absolutely pick the Apple. However, here comes the wrinkle, because the Sennheiser, just when playing music, sound quite a bit better than the Apple. And their main ingredient is a larger dose of clarity. We can just hear more of the music. We can hear deeper into the mix. Detail retrieval from the Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless version 3 is just better than the Apple's. We get more detail. And that means we get more air. So the Sennheiser are definitely airier. We get a better sense of instrument placement, so spatial cues really, so we know where things are. And pianos and guitars, they sound more lifelike, more believable. And strings, they sort of glide and glisten, and horns, they blat. So I've been playing, what was I playing? I was playing some Michael Nyman, and then also some Thomas Dolby with the Jazz Mafia horns, and I think it might have been some Bill Callahan. And all three of those albums, for me, sound better through the Sennheiser than they do through the Apple and the Sony. In fact, next to the Sennheiser, the Sony WF-1000XM4 do sound really quite muddy. They're good, and they have lots of punch, and they have a sort of big chunky sound, but they don't have the delicacy and the finesse in the top end that the Sennheiser have. But most noticeably of all of these qualities is that the Sennheiser give us better dynamics, both macro and micro. So that's the shifts in sounds, right? When a sound comes to life, it kind of explodes and then falls away again. That's more obvious to me on the Sennheiser than it is on the Sony and the Apple AirPods Pro 2nd Gen. But then the kicker is that the Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless 3 sell for less than the Apples. I think you can get the Sony for about the same price, roughly 200 and something euros, but the Sennheiser sell for that amount. 215 euros I think I paid when I bought my pair. No, Sennheiser did not send me these. I bought these to test them because I was curious, because I wanted to know how they sounded compared to the Apple. Now I know. So if you want the best all-round true wireless IEM, you still want the Apple. It's still a great sounding earphone. I would use it day to day, no problem. And I can't say that about the 1st Gen AirPods Pro. But if I want to go out and I want to just listen to music, because I think, yeah, the Apple are better with phone calls. If I just want to listen to music, I'm going to take the Sennheiser every time, because they just sound quite a bit better than the AirPods Pro. And that for me is a surprise finding. Anyway, this video is shorter than usual because I just wanted to make you aware of what I hear from the Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless 3. If you like this video, please give us a like down below. If you like my attitude towards high-end audio and Bluetooth and true wireless IEMs, then please consider subscribing to this channel. And as always, thank you ever so much for watching. Momentum True Wireless 3 isn't as good as the Apple AirPods Pro. Not quite. Sorry, let me do that again. Okay. The active noise cancellation on the Sennheiser True Wireless, I've done it again. However, the active noise cancellation inside the Sennheiser has a mode that specifically tackles wind noise. It means that when, however, Sennheiser, God, on control, I always say thank you, not thank you. Idiot.